name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the weekly energies with Monday's Musings on the 1st of August 2022. Today we celebrate harvest and we celebrate all the things that we have cultivated, all the things that we have grown and what it is we wish to take forward. I feel like I want to do this video, but I also want to get in, read the energies and get out again and really take what is needed. That feels like a big emphasis that's been coming up the last week or so, for me in particular, but I've been seeing collectively as well, to take only that we need as part of the natural cycle of life. Not just in belongings, not just in healings, but also in whatever lessons we feel we need to take forward. It is always our choice. Do we need to keep repeating something? And I can really feel that in this video. When I tap into the frustration and the not wanting to resonate, first and foremost, it's okay if something doesn't resonate with us, this video included. It means that it isn't applicable to where we're at, and it's okay to then move forward. Secondly, when I really feel into the frustration, when I came into the shop today, I noticed that my husband was sat in the same kind of position Yin would sit, as am I, and it's the only position I can get comfortable in. It was also the only move that I remembered from Yin Yoga today was related to Yin. Having compassion for ourselves, if we do find, when we start to look around over the next few days, weeks, months even, that we have sown the same seeds, if we do find that we are harvesting the same lessons, having compassion and understanding that it was right at the time, okay? Sometimes we almost need to feel that frustration to know where our head is at, actually, to really come back into our body and look at what it is we may be subconsciously planting. The other thing I've noticed today when I was doing the Yin Yoga, I was going to say Yin Yoga, interesting, the Yin Yoga and the Tai Chi at our local gym, the instructor is off sick, so sending lots of love to you there, is off sick and his classes are being covered by somebody that's never done them before. And obviously that has caused a bit of a ripple, a little bit of a in the changing rooms. It's held in a different room, which has really caused a bit of an uproar, because it's change, right? When we get into certain patterns, it can be very difficult to want to embrace that change. For me, I'm very blessed because I've never really done any lessons with this instructor, bar the first one, so I have nothing to compare it to. And because of that lack of comparison, I can be in awe for the gratitude of that class as it is in its own right, that lesson as it is in its own right. So I can see where the energies at the times are just, I can see where the energies are going this week already without looking at the cards, which I will do in a moment. But that feels very important, to see where messages outside are reflecting what we already know, okay, and to really be aware of them consciously now, and the impact that they have on whatever seeds we are planting subconsciously. So another thing that I noticed with the instructor, obviously because I was seeing these lessons through the eyes of someone that's never experienced them before, I got to experience a blessing greater than anyone else there because they were comparing. The other thing that I noticed, several things that he mentioned, nothing new either, but in such a different, profound way. So keeping an eye out for insights that may rise this week that are the same, but because we've chosen to see them differently, they are more profound. He spoke of Yin Yoga, I want to keep calling it Yin Yoga. He spoke of Yin Yoga making space within the body, which made sense, just made complete and utter sense to me. And when something made sense, it's like I started to embody that. So this week, really invigorating the senses, finding things that we love to eat again with new appreciation. I can almost see like death and rebirth energy that a lot of people have spoken of, but that the rebirth energy is here, but it's about us embodying it now. So tasting food for the first time, seeing things for the first time. You know, this isn't new to us, and that's the problem. It isn't new to us, and maybe, just maybe, it could be if we chose to really see the sacredness of things. That's something else that's been coming up through conversations as well, recognizing how sacred things are, and that sacred doesn't mean serious. Sacred doesn't always mean it has to be serious, but to recognize something on all levels for its complexity and beauty. Rather than, oh, food, yeah, oh, well, this class isn't as good as the other one. Really looking into what is that individual situation bringing you in its gift. Today, Harvest Lammas is all about gratitude as well, and gratitude comes from a lack of comparison, but also a recognition of something as it is in its own right, and appreciating that. So last week it felt very relevant to look at our own validity, and this week, hopefully, for those that have, seeing other things around them with that same appreciation and respect and sacredness. So the other thing that the instructor mentioned, again, something I know, but just hearing someone else say it, to have it reflected back, can be so poignant, particularly this week, in regards to communication, and communication that may be hidden, body communication. You know, there can be a real difference between hearing something on the phone or a text message or actually experiencing it face to face. And it feels almost as if time is coming back full circle. That may not be comfortable for some people that are happy to do things online. That's great, that is your forte. But there are other people out there that may be brought forward to start doing more things face to face, because there's a lot of language that is being missed. That's what I really hear, and now it's starting to come through. There is a lot of hidden language in situations that isn't being articulated, or if it is being articulated, it's being articulated behind a screen, or behind a phone, and that can have limitations in its own right, because we feel energy, right, when we're face to face with people. It's not to say healing can't be done distantly. Of course it can. For some people, there is a different connection required, and there are people out there that can provide that, or there will be. That's what I hear, or there will be. So back to my instructor, I'm just being drawn to look at the magenta bridge spray in my window, and it is about bridging that potential now, that physical energy. Not quite clear with the message yet, so we'll come back to that. It is related to the inner child, it is related to the heart. It is related to the fact that we may not want to get out there again. Okay, in regards to relationships, trusting the process and being aware that we're already doing it. So whether we want something or not want something, we are giving something our attention and our energy. Whether we are blocking it, whether we are trying to call it in, it's one and the same. The universe doesn't really decipher. Energy is energy. So my instructor today stated something very obvious. I've been drawn to the fact that my background is very clear and white. For some reason, my past is what's behind me now is very clear and very pure and very white. We'll come back to that. But my instructor today stated something very obvious. Where chi goes, blood flows. So where there's energy, there's blood, and where there's blood, there's healing. But where chi goes is a result of where the mind goes. Now we know this, yeah, what we focus on, blah, 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 but it just kind of resonated on a deeper level. And what I'm feeling is taking the chi from the lungs into the kidneys. What I'm feeling is the impact of having an idea, but embodying it is the difference between functioning healthily and balanced or adrenal fatigue. If we can slow into the process of what it is we are trying to achieve, what it is we are focusing on, what it is we are experiencing, we are giving our kidneys chance to bring that energy down from our lungs, that idea down through our lungs, to be filtered out throughout our bodily systems. This week in particular, it feels like there could be an increase in adrenal fatigue. We've had a Leo new moon, right? And there's a lot of belief that Leos are very raw, and they can be, absolutely. Being a Leo myself, yes, absolutely. I cannot cannot stress this enough. The Leo card, the Strength card, is about having that balance with the communication of our body and our own divine self, which includes patience and respect of divine timing. The Leo new moon doesn't always necessarily mean that we have to go run and get things done. It is about finding that timing for yourself, that flow for yourself. How? Breathe. Bring those ideas into the body. Take time, sit with them. Avoid the adrenal fatigue of go. Keep the balance of reflection and action this week in particular. Why this week in particular? That's what I hear. Okay, so we are leading up to the Lionsgate portal, the peak of the Lionsgate portal on the 8th. Now, when I tune into the Lionsgate portal, I feel a lot of galactic support. I feel interesting. I say obviously, we don't recognise that may be obvious. We talk about ancestral healing, we talk about ancestral support. For me, the link this Lionsgate is connecting to our star lineage, our ancestors, our galactic ancestors. The messages are going to be more subtle. The messages are going to need and demand a respectful time to receive them. It is about pausing and reflecting, this Lionsgate, which is very unusual for a Lionsgate, very unusual for a new moon in Leo, but it's about seeing things new, right? It's about seeing things new. So what else was there before I get to the cards? So we're 12 minutes in. I'm looking at Mother Mary and one of the sprays that I have, and yesterday we did a sound bath at one of the local shops that I work at, and it was all linked into past lives, not intentionally, but all linked into past lives, and it did very much involve Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary and the Rose lineage and sisterhood. And obviously there's been a big rise in England with the feminine line at the moment, with the female football team winning the latest game, the Euro Cup. I'm really not up with football. It's not a male or female thing for me. It's just, it's not something I actually watch a lot. And I was working yesterday doing a sound bath while the local pubs were cheering, which was always interesting. But we are going to see more and more of this. We are going to see more and more of the sacred feminine rising. What I would suggest this week is to really look at how we embody that. So after the match, I noticed a lot of people saying, of course we were going to win, it's a Leo new moon. That's quite arrogant, that's quite egotistical. Maybe watch that with the whole Leo energy. Again, being a Leo, I know how easy it is to fall into this. Nothing wrong with having pride in who we are, but just being aware this week where some of us may be high on our pedestal, and not being knocked down unnecessarily, but being knocked down so that we can ground and embody what it is we're saying. It's one thing to talk the talk, right? It's another to walk the walk. The other thing that I noticed was a lot of people saying, and men included, saying that it takes a woman to do a man's job, meaning winning against Germany and everything else. And I found that very sad. At the end of the day, this is a game of football. This is a game of strength and stamina and fun. This is the Leo. Strength, stamina, fun, and family, and rejoicing and celebrating. I found it very sad that it suddenly became separate about genders. Some were said in jest, some not so much, and that feels important this week, to recognise that even though we may say something in jest, there is always an element of our own truth in that jest. So being aware of that, being aware of how that can actually come across and hurt people. So all of this week, since my own birthday, I've kind of made a pact to be very aware of how I communicate. I have Leo in Mercury and in Jupiter and as a fire sign. So really this week, Leo has come up with a whole different collection of insights for me to look at. But it's great because it's very much about reviewing how I communicate in regards to my own light and expanding that. And that feels like that's the overall message for the Leo new moon and the Lionsgate. How do you communicate your light? Expand that. So yesterday I was asked if I enjoyed working in one of the shops that I work in, which I really do. And it's not because I saw myself as working in a shop. There's no judgment there. It's just not something that I saw. It doesn't matter what role we give ourselves. And that feels very important this week when some dreams are manifested and some dreams perhaps not. It doesn't matter where we work. What matters is we do us. We are ourselves. 2022, we be you. Okay? And all the time you do that, you align with whatever place you need to provide that purpose, if you will, because your purpose is you. So yesterday, working in a shop, I'm working in a shop, but I'm talking about crystals and I'm talking about healing in a clothes shop, because they came up in conversation and a couple of dogs came in and had healing, and in the evening we had a sound bath. So there's a real emphasis this week on bringing what we do into the local community, into everyday aspects of our life, not to keep who we are lofty and unobtainable, which can be a very Leo trait. You know, only certain people deserve to understand this side of us or see this side of us or receive the knowledge that we have. Really looking at how sovereign we are being in what it is we are sharing, because the Leo is the heart, the Leo heart. Yeah, so keeping that in balance, but really looking at how picky we can be with what we choose to share and where we choose to share. Embodying who we are this week feels really important, bringing down that divine version of ourselves into our body. For many, it's taken a long time, myself included, and that will just continue to flourish. What else was there? There was something else, but it's kind of slipped my mind at the moment, so it is trusting that when that needs to be recognised, it will resurface. Okay, right. So I'm going to look into the energies this week, and the only deck I have with me is the Rider-Waite. Only this is the Radiant Rider-Waite, and it's a pocket size, so it kind of comes everywhere with me. I've taken every other deck home purely by accident, but is there any accidents in life? It feels really good to go back to the original, or one of the original decks, for there to be no whistles and rattles and song and dance, but just real beautiful clear-cut energy this week underneath it all. I feel a youthfulness. I do feel a youthfulness, which can often be seen as silliness. Just keeping an eye on that and keeping that in balance, and letting that radiate out in everything that we do and all that we carry. So, top of the pack, 9 of Swords. Okay. So when I said top of the pack, 9 of Swords, what I heard was, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's the 9 of Swords. What does this mean? What does this mean? This week in particular, watch that, because it's the need to understand and know what is going on that can actually strip us from the very experience of life. Okay, right. Energies this week, ground. My foot can finally come down now. The foot can come down, so yeah, it's like a moment of, no, the foot, I'm putting my foot down this week. Okay, energies for this week and how to best navigate them. There's a real emphasis on finding the stillness within to avoid too much noise. So I know that obviously my movements are making the pipes sound off. Bottom of the pack we have the Three of Pentacles, and right at the bottom of the pack we have the Sun. So really finding people this week that resonate with your light, that you resonate with theirs as well, that you share this joint vision of moving forward that's fun and free. And even with aspects of yourself this week, you may find old parts of yourself start to return, old wounded parts of yourself, and if they are removing the light from your journey, they are not helping you build now. So really sending compassion to anything that doesn't resonate with you, but making that choice. What is it you are trying to build? Keeping that in your focus this week is going to be key. Chop wood, carry water in every step. Overall, the energy that we have for this week is temperance. So yes, we are going to get certain past experiences coming up, and they are a necessary part of the flow so that we can filter out what is needed and what isn't needed in order to move forward. We don't have to delve too deep in them, and again, there's that past life energy here. We don't have to delve too deep into what is occurring emotionally, but witness and hold space for it so that it can just rise and be released. So the other day, the day after my birthday, I became almost not consumed, but this overwhelming anger, not linked to anybody or anything. And I didn't link it to anybody or anything either. I felt it. I just felt it, you know? And a lot of the times things become a lot more profound than they need to be because we overthink them. This week in particular, just allowing this energy to move, to flow through us for what it is emotions, it's energy in motion. And that can be difficult. I work with a lot of animals that are traumatized, and getting them to feel their stillness and to feel the emotions can be quite difficult. So we distract, we rub, we stroke, we pat, you distract yourself. I do a lot of my healing while I'm cleaning. My mind will go 10 to the dozen while I'm cleaning, and as I'm cleaning, I'm moving the energy around. So moving that energy, create with it, clean with it, dance with it, garden with it, do something with it if it becomes too much. Sitting still may not help this week. It's kind of like the analogy of labour. Sometimes we have to move, sometimes we have to shift things. So if you feel like it's too much, move, do something with it this week in particular, and that will be the everyday tasks, because then what we're doing is subconsciously completing every step towards this, whatever we're trying to achieve. We may think we're avoiding things. I really feel that in the wisdom tooth, in the back of my jaw, my right jaw. We may feel as if we're avoiding things by taking time to feel them, but actually it's getting us a step closer each time to what it is we're trying to achieve. And if that's hard, if sitting with our emotions is difficult, no judgment there, right? They can be really hard. Move with them, do something with them. So I'm being really drawn to mention the fact that I'm doing a sponsored walk for the whole month of August for refuge and domestic violence awareness. And it came about, first and foremost, I wanted a t-shirt. I'm just going to own that. I wanted a t-shirt and I couldn't buy a t-shirt. And then I just finished doing some fundraising for Macmillan for my birthday, and I walk anyway, and I'm trying to increase the amount that I walk, and this popped up, and I just thought, what better way to do that, because I'm feeling a lot at the moment, and by walking I'm transmuting that, and I can raise money for a charity, for a community, so this week in particular, really looking at how your actions help you and others. That could be the missing part. Not everything is about us, and this week in particular, with the whole Leo energy going on, not everything that we feel is about us. It can very much be about the collective, and we're almost learning how to rediscover this skill of differentiating between the two while still recognizing they're one as we go into the chariot year, so next year. So this next few months in particular, feeling into what we're feeling, recognizing it may not just be about us, and doing something about it that helps us and the community around us. Think big, think bigger, think beyond the problem to find the solution this week. Okay. When something is solely about us, it's very small, and the answers can be quite small as well. So if we want different, bigger answers, it is really looking at everyone that's affected with whatever is going on. So today we have the Hierophant. So again, recognizing that any lessons, any experiences, any teachings, even the word lessons can be like we need to pass a certain thing or know a certain thing. It's a transaction, yeah? I hear the word transaction analysis, but it's a transaction between us and our community. What is the actual flow that's going on here? What are we discovering here? Rather than it being about that person and that person, what is the underlying current on the Monday in particular? That's the key. That's the key that's going to take us forward into the Tuesday, where we can see how much we've grown with the Seven of Pentacles. Very necessary to see how much we've grown before we move forward. So even though today is the day of harvest, it feels like tomorrow is when the true crops come into play, because obviously we have the Seven of Pentacles here, and you can see that he is actually harvesting. Yeah, he's cut down everything that he's grown, or he's watching everything that he's grown, and he's getting prepared to harvest that for the future. Today it feels like there's a few little insights to come in first, and I can really feel that coming in through my crown and behind the back of my right eye. A few things to be seen. However, on the Wednesday we have the Fool, and the Fool for me very much says try and see it all through new eyes. We're not going to see anything different unless we see it through a different way, a different perspective, or a new beginning. Okay, and that feels like the biggest lesson today. In order to see how far we have grown and what it is we're actually harvesting, we need to see through a different vision, a higher vision of what is actually occurring. So the Fool is on Wednesday, but it feels like he is all week. Here all year. Almost like I see him now almost like a belated birthday. So a rebirth, a new beginning here. But it needs to be a new beginning, right? Without listening to that inner society or reflection of society, or our old lessons keep barking at us to come backwards. And I can really feel the tediousness of that and the fogginess across the third eye. So on the Thursday we have the King of Wands, and it is really about sitting in our actions now. Really about saying, actually, I'm not going to do that. And that's all it feels I want to say for the Thursday. There is some emphasis there on pointing more at the masculine. There is some emphasis there on pointing more at our brothers, our husbands, our sons. Actions are actions, and they all speak louder than words, regardless of the gender that they belong to. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On the Friday we have the Eight of Swords. Now who wants to know that, right? Who wants to know that actually it's down to us all? But there's empowerment there. It's very difficult, because the last thing we want to do is downplay someone's situation. The last thing we want to do is appear unempathic. However, there is a big difference, and I've said this all this year, between empathy and sympathy, and it really feels like the buck is almost stopping now. If we haven't got that in our head by now, the next 6 months into the next year could be a bit rocky, because there is a difference between sympathy and empathy. We can sympathise or relate to what somebody is going through, but in order to empathise with somebody, it is literally done from their perspective, not how you feel, not how you want them to feel, not what you want the situation to be or the outcome. And that's very empowering, because then what that does for the person that is being empathised with is, it's almost like Paddy Power. I don't know if anyone's ever seen No Likey, No Lighty, but what you're doing is you're handing that power back over for them to change their situation. That can be really hard, because it can come across like, well, I don't care, or I don't understand, and that isn't the truth. What's happening is we take empathy to a higher level of compassion, a soul compassion, where we actually say, I see you and your soul, and beyond this story, and beyond what you think you can and can't do, and now I can help you if you choose that, to see that for yourself by saying, you've got this. I can't do this for you. And that comes in really clearly on the Friday, for everybody, even those that are being the empathic one, because that actually frees them up as well. Because on the Saturday we have the Six of Pentacles, we have that balance between giving and receiving, and it's a mismatch. It's a mismatch at the moment. That's what I really, really sense, and by keeping that scales between all situations, including with ourselves and our feelings, you know, allowing time for our feelings but not being lost in them, but allowing time for them, not blocking them, but keeping that balance within us, having a treat physically with our food, but also making sure we balance that out with healthy food, you know, having a tipple maybe, but making sure that the next day we, you know, it's really about balance. And leading into next year, one of the biggest emphasis is going to be our physical body and how we help that to move us forward individually and collectively. And one of the first steps is balance, right? Physically with what we eat, emotionally with the emotions that we feel or don't feel or get lost in, intellectually, how much we overanalyze, how much different research, different things that we look at, you know, to expand our knowledge, do we actually invest in? Spiritually, are we surrounding ourselves with people that agree with us because that's comfortable, or are we daring to dip our toe in other potential ideas, other potential realms of understanding, other potential religions or views, you know? And then there was one more it's just gone out of my head. Well, our drive, our spirituality, our ambition, our passion, is that in balance? Have we given our all to a situation without caring for ourselves? Have we given our all to what it is we want to manifest without ensuring that we're ready enough to receive it? Have we given our all to our family, our loved ones, our partners, but not kept that balance with ourselves and then demanded it back? But yeah, it's down to us. It's down to us to restore that balance. Because on the Sunday we have the Four of Swords, and this very much speaks of rest. How does that balance come? By appreciating the pause, by really looking at where our mind is at, by really looking at how that affects the blood flow to it, how that affects the energy to it, and the results that are coming back as a result, basically. So is there anything else on that? And what I hear is, what more is there? What more is there but balance? What more in life is there but Aini? Reciprocity, right relations with ourselves, right relations with each other, money, food, the universe. What more actually is there? So overall, we have one hidden major arcana, which is trying to pop out, which is the Sun card, trying to pop out from underneath it all. I'm really remembering that this week, that the light is trying to be seen. Regardless what is occurring, the light is trying to be seen for what it actually is. And that's different for everybody. But for me, it's a beautiful white horse. All I can see is a beautiful white horse, which is just incredible, fingers crossed. But it is different for us all, and it will come in ways that are familiar, and it is about appreciating that familiarity, that sacredness, that knowing, and it's that will move us forward. Whether it's a physical horse or that knowing, it's that will move us forward. That purity in our past now, knowing that I'm done, not I'm done, but I'm done. It's clear, that all that's there is some beautiful sounds and Mary Magdalene. That's enough for me to move forward. Maybe that's going to be the thing I will take forward. Mary Magdalene and the sounds. Watch this space. It could be that this is the last tarot reading ever. Who knows? But being open to that. Being really chuckles. Being really, really open to that. And the sacred gift that is. It's enough. It's more than enough. Knowing is enough. So we have obviously the hidden sun, but 1, 2, 3 major arcanas, which is creativity, and we have the Hierophant, Temperance, and the Fool. So we have teachings, the midwife, and new beginnings. Whoa, do I need to even go any further than that and explain that any further? And that's key. How much more explanation do we need that the energies this week are supported by the energy of the midwife, or the change facilitator, or the witness, by the lessons that we have experienced? We have done this. We have discovered a lot. Now it's like step out of our comfort zone, bring in new knowledge, bring in new understandings. I do hear new wounds. Maybe, and that could be what actually holds a lot of us back this week. Like, oh, I'm not sure I want to even go out there. So dip your toe. No one's saying you have to be immersed in something. Be curious. That's the other thing about the Leo. Yeah, for a long time we're told curiosity killed the cat. Leos like to play, they like to have fun, they like to be curious. So really embracing that energy too. We then have 1, 2 pentacle cards, beautiful balance there, and it's the 7 and the 6 of pentacles, and they're in that order. So in order to really reflect on how we've grown, it may very well be that we step back and look at the balance here, the harmony here, and that may be necessary or weak. Yeah, it may be, oh, I thought I'd done this. Okay, step back. If you thought you've done it, it means you've learned from it. So maybe you have, and maybe actually you don't have to get caught up in it. Yeah, but really stepping back, observing, being that witness, being temperance, being the Hierophant. Have I done this? Have I learned from this? Stepping into the full, that new journey. Physically now, in our actions, yeah? We then have 1 wand card, so it's that real direct connection to our desire, our drive, our ambition, our light, the Leo, yeah, that real sovereign energy this week. The King is sat down, and what I hear is it's not going to come to you. It's like, get out there and find it. If you've lost your spark, find it. If your relationships could do with a little bit of help, then get out there and find it. Take that for myself. Make the effort, whether that's friendships, lovers, family. Get up, get off the throne. Yeah, the throne is only good for 2 things, and one is dictating, and then the other is letting go of what you don't need anymore. So get up and go out and find what it is that drives you, what gives you passion. Yeah, find your purpose in everything that you do. There's then 2 sword cards, which is beautiful. Again, we have that balance, and it's the 8 of swords and the 4 of swords. So when it all gets a bit too much, stop, rest, pause. Simple. Oh, I can't. You can breathe. You can take a moment to have a breath. And there's a fantastic breath structure that you can do where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, let go for 4, hold for 4. Do that 4 times if it's all getting a bit too much. Yeah, and that just brings you back into your body, that brings you back into the moment. A lot of the times it feels like it's too much mentally because we're overridden by anxiety. We're overridden by anxiety because we've left the moment. We're not experiencing it in that moment, we're experiencing it from the past. We're experiencing it from how it has happened, which is the brain's beautiful way of survival. We've needed that. When we do the breath, what we're doing is we're settling Otorongo, we're settling Jaguar in our tummy, and we're bringing Eagle and Condor together in our hearts. We are stepping out of the fight or flight for that split second. That in itself gives us the freedom to experience what is occurring and the new insights that are available. There are no cup cards this week, but Temperance has 2 cup cards. So it may not come across as emotions this week. It may come across as thoughts or body aches or, there are many ways for emotions to be expressed, and some of them can be through pain. So we're holding a pain clinic here on the 3rd of August, which is by donation. So I do recommend, if you're in the area, to pop in. And we're going to look at pain and what messages are there, because pain is stored emotions, trapped chi, trapped energy. So emotions are expressed in many ways. In our thoughts, we come out of it. We come out of the moment, we come out of the body, and we go off on a tangent with our thoughts. That's an emotion that's made us do that. That's energy that has shifted, triggered something, and made us go into our head. Pain, our physical body, eating when we don't quite want something, That can be linked to emotions. Addiction, although I don't actually see the devil, I don't really see any addictive behaviours here other than I'm being drawn to the Eight of Swords, the mental imprisonment that we cannot get out of this situation. Challenge that this week. Discover a new version of yourself. Really dive deep into the knowledge of who you are. What is your body saying? What is your soul capable of? Really connecting to that true sovereignty this week. Challenge just how imprisoned you really are, and start to really look at freeing yourself. Okay. So it felt like I wanted to add more, which is really worth looking into this week. And the card that I've pulled is the Five of Swords. So walk away from this need to add more. It's enough now. It's enough. The biggest lesson is about learning who we are, and what it is we are here to bring to ourselves and to the community and to the earth. So yeah, just being who we are this week in particular feels like key. And back to Temperance and the Two of Pentacles. So I'm going to keep it at that. Balance our emotions in our physical actions, in what we eat, how we think, how that affects what we're trying to achieve, how we act in our humanness. Balance our divinity through our human selves this week. Then